And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the regular season finale of the debut season of the PCSRA Craftsman Truck Series race number 16. This is it. This is the last chance for a driver who has not won inside the top 20 in points, that has a 0 in the win column, to punch their last ditch effort into the playoffs. Maisie Creighton on the pole position. She is 23rd in the points. Another one of those drivers, a win for her would put her in the playoffs. Luis Hernandez, 24th in the points alongside. Also a win for him would possibly put him in the playoffs. Same with Cody Goforth and Ashton Ingersoll. Ingersoll's 27th in points. Goforth is 14th in the standings. Look at the rest of the lineup. We're also going to keep an eye on drivers that have wins that are inside the top 20 in the standings. Let's get these trucks rolling off for the Next Era Energy Resources 250. 20 laps of racing coming your way. And a lot of drivers should be nervous about this race here today. Let's go over the points presented by Golden Corral. We could also crown the regular season champion also today. Marcus Sellers is the points leader by 20 points over Billy Kitchens. J Bodine is third. Alex Winters fourth, with Xavier Allsopp fifth. And it's Michael Brown, Harrison Jenkins, Carolina Bradley, J Underhill, and Victoria Hughes, your top 10. Sellers, Jackson, Bonine, Winters, and Allsopp and Jenkins are in the top 10 in the points. J Underhill is ninth in the points. I think he needs to make sure he has a good run today. As far as that is concerned, Alina Ritchie, last week's winner at Texas, jumped all the way up to 16th in the points. Her goal, as well as J Ard, Blake Wagner, a good run, and also throw Olivia Jackson into this conversation. A good run for them. They're going playoff racing, because they need to stay in the top 20 in the points to have their wins count for a spot into the playoffs. Ritchie is a total of, Alina Ritchie, she is 11 points ahead of 20th. Jesse is 8 points ahead of 20th, along with Blake Wagner, who moved back in the top 20 in points, because Carlos Rodriguez holds that 20th position in the points. Critical. Abigail Furling has got to have a good run. 20 points behind 20th in the standings. A good run for her could get her in the playoffs, but it's going to be a long shot. And Shyla Askarov, I think, can be mathematically eliminated. I don't think she's going to make up 30 points, but it's a long shot. Green flags in the air. The regular season finale for trucks is underway. We decide the playoffs. I will say this right here and right now as a disclaimer. When we have the official finisher results, I am not going to take a guess who made the playoffs and who did not. I'm going to let the officials decide that, who made the playoffs and who didn't. When you see the points and the reformatted points going into next week at Chicagoland. That's all I'm going to say. The only thing I will congratulate will be the regular season champ. Maisie Creighton's going to lead the first lap. Cody Goforth. Another one of their Oh, Jared Johnson's blown up. Jared Johnson's blown up, and that's his playoff hopes done. As the smoke erupts on the back of the Sprint PCS Chevy Silverado, Jared Johnson's championship hopes done. And that's also broken up the field, because J Ard is going to lose the pack. Morgan Lohr is going to try to hang on to this pack. That's bad news for J Ard, because she's one of those drivers who needs to stay in the top 20 in points to have her win count. And if she falls outside the top 20 in points, it's going to get interesting. As Goforth will lead that lap. Alex Winters, who's safely in the playoffs and has a nice little cushion. And Jared Johnson has teleported to pit road, we're being told. So we're going to stay under the green flag I think they pulled him into the road course area, so we will stay under the green flag. No need to throw a caution. There's Curtis Glover. He cannot make the playoffs, sadly, but he would like to get a second win just to build some confidence going into next season. Marcus Sellers, the points leader. A good run for him. As long as he stays ahead of second in points, he will clinch the regular season championship. Who led that lap? That would be Sellers who led that lap. As he's already teleported to pit road. J Underhill's back here at the rear of the field. Olivia Jackson, this is not where she needs to be. She's going to try to catch up. Looks like J Ard did a great job catching up. And they all stayed single file. But it looks like Keizer could lose the draft. Unless she can try to catch up and latch on the back of the GMAC Chevy Silverado of Anthony Ritchie. J Underhill's caught the pack, so is Ritchie. And the 3 truck's trying to catch up as well. That's a tough break for J Johnson, excuse me. And J Johnson's playoff hopes are done. That's a tough break for J Johnson. He was one of those drivers that win for him would put him into the playoffs. Unfortunately, that will not be the case, unfortunately. And there's the driver who's trying to run down Marcus Sellers for the points lead. That would be Billy Kitchens. Mathematically has a chance to possibly take the regular season championship. And he's another one of those drivers that's in a must-win situation. Can you imagine second in points not making the playoffs? That would be shocking. Right now, all of those drivers inside the top 20 that have a donut hole, all in a must win. All need to win to make the playoffs. Those that have a good little small gap between themselves and 20th in the standings, a win for them, they make the playoffs. We're trying to figure out what blew on the 0-4. Harrison Jenkins led that lap. He's a driver that's going for his second win of the year. Of course, I should also mention a driver that gets their second win of the year would also lock themselves a spot into the playoffs, and that's another 5 additional playoff points that could come in handy going into the reformatted playoff points after today. Cheyenne Berkshire takes the lead. She's also another driver a win would get into the playoffs. There's Abigail Furling in the 62. That's critical. Furling has to have a good run or her playoff hopes are finished. J Ard is up here. This is where J Ard needs to be. Remember, her brother Sean is in a must-win situation in the Winston Cup Series. Of course, we have Busch Racing at 8 Bowl tomorrow. And then we go to a short track to finish up the regular season in Mansfield for the Winston Cup Series. And then we'll see all 3 series at Chicagoland next week. This is critical. Xavier Allsopp, a second win would guarantee he'll be in the playoffs to be one of the 10 representatives in the chase for the championship. Really critical for the ex-World NOS Racing driver. He hasn't been to victory lane, interestingly enough, before this season, since the Monster Energy race at Michigan on fuel mileage. And that was back in 2016 when he drove the 74 to victory lane. Shyla Askarov. This is her last chance, possibly. She's a former winner, but not in the top 20 in the points. If she wins, it's going to make that cut. We're going to have to see how many points this is going to accumulate her between herself and 20th in the standings, and leading this lap is going to cut that deficit even bigger. Camshaft is the reason the 04 is out of the race. That's a shame for Jared Johnson. He will not make the playoffs, which I feel bad for him, but I know he's going to give it his best the next 7 weeks. And for the 26 drivers that don't make the playoffs, I know they're going to do their best to try to get a victory. They don't even care about the championship anymore after today. All they care about is just trying to go to victory lane as many times as they possibly can. We're at the halfway point, 10 down, 10 to go. J Underhill to the race lead. He knows a second win would be would be a lock in the playoffs. Same with Olivia Jackson, who's up here. Anthony Ritchie, even if he were to go to victory lane, he is one of the drivers mathematically eliminated from making the playoffs. He is a whopping 51 points back of 20th in the standings. There is no way he's going to make the playoffs. Unless he pulls a shocker, then that's a different story. But the chances of that happening is slim to none. Olivia Jackson to the inside. Jackson needs a good run today. She would like to make the playoffs, like to be in the top 20 in points after today. And her playoff hopes will continue as far as the championship is concerned. A lot of these drivers inside the top 20, all must-win situations. If I were to wager who's going to win this race, I'm going to let you guys decide that for yourselves. April's going to be really crazy for the Busch race tomorrow. And then the Winston Cup race. Here comes Billy Kitchens. Has to win. He has no choice. He can't get in on points unless a driver that's ahead of it, unless a driver who has a win that's near that 20th position in the points falls out. That's the only chance Billy Kitchens has left. It's either that or he wins and knocks somebody out. This is nerve-wracking for me watching this. It'll be 6 to go. Abigail Furling. A second win for her would not only solidify herself a spot in the playoffs, I believe she would be the number 1 seed. Any driver who's already been to victory lane and inside the top 20 or near 20th in the standings, a second win would give them the number 1 seed going into the reformatted playoff points. Parker Castle to the inside. He cannot make the playoffs either. 32nd in points. Blake Wagner's up here. If he wins, he would not only get a second win of the year or Alex Winters. Those that have a win inside the top 20 in points, a second win, you're guaranteed the number 1 seed going into the reformatted playoff points, which is critical. Down to 5 to go in this race. Emma Keizer in second. Keizer's another driver a win would get in the playoffs. As Alex Winters, a second win for her would be the number one seed. Marcus Sellers trying to win the regular season championship. It'll be 4 to go. Winters goes by. And here comes Sellers in the 29. Sellers has a chance to clinch the regular season championship, regardless where he finishes. As we're down to 3 laps of racing to go. Shohei Alinsky in second. That's Sarnes, I believe, in third. It is. Alinsky going to the race lead. Alinsky would be borderline. He's actually 25 points back at 20th in the standings. Olivia Jackson 13 ahead of that cut line. It'll be 2 to go this time by. All 35 trucks on the lead lap. Next time by will be the white flag for the regular season. Victoria Hughes, a win for her would put her in the playoffs as long as she's in the top 20. She's 10th in points, so that would put her into a playoff spot. Billy Kitchens has to win to make the playoffs. White flags in the air. 1 more lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Who is making the playoffs? Who will not? There goes Kitchens. Not only is he trying to make the playoffs, he has to beat Marcus Sellers for the regular season championship. As they're 3 wide, down into turn number 3 for the final time. Billy Kitchens is trying to hold him off of turn 4, and Billy Kitchens, shot clock cheese, last desperate effort. Billy Kitchens wins the NextEra Energy Resources 250. He's going playoff hunting. Billy Kitchens will battle for the championship. The question is, who will join him? Who will join him? Morgan Lohr came up 1 spot short, will finish in second. Cheyenne Berkshire third, Sam Vickers fourth, Aaron Hornish fifth. Aaron Hornish is out there for pride. Michael Brown, Victoria Hughes, Ingrid Pollard, Shohei Alinsky, Xavier Allsopp in 10th. Let's see, Kitchens and Sellers. Let's see, they were 12 spots. I don't know if that's going to be enough for Billy Kitchens to win the regular season championship. But I think Sellers, I believe, might have just done it. I don't know that for sure. We're going to have to wait and see. They did finish ahead of Jamie Bodine. I can confirm that with you guys. As you look on down for the rest of the finishing results, yeah, Jamie Bodine finished 35th. So I don't know who's going to make the playoffs. Looking at the results, Blake Wagner, J Ard, 27th, 28th. Was that enough to keep them in the top 20? I don't know. Shyla Askarov, 21st. Is that going to be good enough to get in? I don't know. I don't know who's made the playoffs. All I know is Billy Kitchens made the playoffs, and possibly Marcus Sellers has taken the regular season championship, but the rest of it, I have no darn clue. Well, maybe Xavier Allsopp, but everything else, I have no clue. But that's why I'm going to let the officials calculate the points, and you'll find that out down in the description below. But I want to thank you guys for joining me for today's race at Daytona. Congratulations to the 10 drivers who made the playoffs and the regular season champion. I'm sorry to the 26 drivers who came up short of making the playoffs and all that. If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the PCSRA crew today. We showed your full finish results. Your point standings are down in the description. You'll see who has won the regular season championship. You will also see the reformatted points going into Chicagoland next week. But we got Busch and Winston Cup regular season finales to contest before we head to Chicagoland next week. Until then, I be DeVoe signing up. You've been watching yet another broadcast of PCSRA TV, where champions are made since 2010, the best in our racing since 2017. And in the words of Leo Einstein, let the playoffs for season 1 of the Craftsman Truck Series begin.